Okay, now it's going live. That's how I only get it. Oh, you're seeing it. Oh, my God. Yeah, it's really concerning now. Live and direct. In mobile is 858. In other private police station be like 1,110. When the protest got caught yesterday. Station for Ogba. Not the only year. I can go also the MOB for Lagos.
Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. Well, they say desperate times require desperate measures. So today we're here to discuss some critical matters concerning us here in Nigeria. Before I proceed, I have very beautiful guests today, one of a kind. You are familiar with these faces, but then I'll introduce them for those people that are just like our newcomers. By my right, I have our gorgeous mama. Tiwa says, like I always say on our show, whatever she says stays. She's your pleasure coach, your number one pleasure coach. So whenever you have, come to mama. And to my extreme right, I have our number one honorable, the king himself, the OG, Odogu. You know, they call him the nose of fact and news for a reason. You know, he is an OG, like I said, because he has spanned 25 years in this business. Yeah, I'm sure you're wondering what business. In the business of journalism. And he has worked with some of the big boys, or the major big boys in the industry. Like, you want me to go there? I will. The Sun, the Punch newspaper, the Nigerian Tribune, you know, and many more like that. And now he's the managing director of the Eagle Online. I mean, if you never try, you try him. I'm sure by now you're giving a round of applause because we are giving a round of applause. So moving to today's topic, you know, we have, like I said, critical matters that is concerning us in Nigeria. I want to start by asking this question. What is the fuel price in your area? I'm asking you, the viewers, before I ask my guest in the house. Let me start with our honorable mama. What is the fuel price in your area?
The fuel price in my area as at this morning is 1,000 per liter.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting. And even with the 1,000 naira per liter, there is a long queue, very long queue. So, you know, people, even though it is expensive, people have no choice because their cars have to move, they have to do business and all that. So it's really very bad.
My honorable sir, what is the price?
I've not tried to go near any filling station because even the queues are scary.
Yes.
And I wonder what artisans like vulcanizers, like welders, who are completely dependent on these products, what they are feeling now, what they are going through.
You know, it's funny because economics terms will say the higher the demand, the higher supply. I'm sure you guys are familiar with these quotes and all. But now this commodity is very scarce and it's something we produce here in Nigeria. So why is it scarce? You know, it just brings me to this video I saw, this interview where our richest man in Africa, or he's number 2 now anyways, came out and one of his refinery he's producing oil now. So should this be like a good thing for us Nigerians, or
Let's
I'll take that up and say that the news is good and it is not good at the same time. Yesterday when the news came, I was quite excited that in a maximum of 48 hours, Dangote refinery will start rolling out petrol. I was quite happy. And then later in the day, for me, which is really sad news, Aliko Dangote himself also came out to say he's not going to be the one to determine the price of the product. That will be dependent on the government, and specifically, if he was quoted right, said it will be determined by the Federal Executive Council. And seriously, I quite understand where we are in terms of that issue of pricing, because there are so many things on ground. Number one is the fact that there is now a convergence that crude should be sold to the refinery in Naira. So it means there's a sort of concession. Number two is that in the last few years, we have made NNPC the sole importer and distributor of all incoming petroleum products, not just petrol itself. So NNPC imports and decides who gets what. This should go to O&O. This should go to this jetty. This should go to that. And it's been like that for years now. And then also, NNPC, which by whatever name we want to call it, all those other agencies that work with it, NNPC determines how much it is sold. That was why we had this issue of the cut in costs, which they call now under recovery, meaning that we bought at this rate, it came to us at this rate, so this is how much we are going to sell. Whatever is the difference between how much it gets to us and how much we sell to Nigerians is borne by NNPC, which by whatever name you are going to call it is subsidy. Don't give it, don't let's talk too much English. I don't like it when professionals, like lawyers, like economists, they come and they want to bamboozle us with grammar. I don't like it. Let's just give it the name that it is. It is subsidy. So when it now comes to that, what it also now essentially means is, yes, Dangote, you get this in Naira. So we are now going to be the one to decide how much the Naira is per day to the dollar in terms of crude. And then number two, if you are supposed to now sell it at 1,000 Naira to Nigerians directly, we as NNPC, we are taking it off you, and we now want to sell at 855 Naira. So it means, again, subsidy is going to creep in. Because what you are now having, there is a difference.
Yes.
They do the under recovery and they still give us subsidy. Basically, I've never been a fan of subsidy. And the reason is that it creates millionaires among us to the detriment of the general public.
Yes.
That's what they do, basically. So, for me, the news by Dangote was a cheery one. It was cheerful, I was happy, but at the same time, I'm no longer happy. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be happy over that development.
Okay, sir. I would like to. I have something to say about that, but I would like to hear from you, Mama. Do you? Okay, I don't think you have much to say about that. From the
No, I don't really have as much statistics that he does. But the fact that, you know, Dangote, that should make us happy. Like, but all these other things attached to it, you have to, it's NNPC that will determine the price. We would have thought that, okay, Dangote will be the one to determine, and that will make people like us happy. That, okay, maybe his own pricing will be less, you know, for the common man, you know, that kind of. But now he has to go through NNPC. So where we are
because
still,
he did
we
it
are,
for diesel. At the time we were buying
still,
diesel for 1.8,
yes, his
2,000.
diesel was
He came
cheaper.
and did it
Yes.
for 1.3. He brought it to 1.2. He brought it to 1,000.
Exactly. So
Now it's 1.1
it's
or so.
supposed to be, you know, for the joy of the common man. Ah, okay, Dangote, this is a Nigerian. Thank God, this is going to be for us, and it's going to be cheaper. We're going to get it cheaper. It's going to alleviate all this thing for. But now he has to go through NNPC. So we are back to square one. As far as I'm concerned, there's really nothing has changed.
I can't blame him because from the time of Buhari regime, Buhari became the Minister of Petroleum, and now he is our president, our number one citizen. He's the Minister of Petroleum as well. So they control every ins and outs of petroleum. So he doesn't really have a say.
I wonder why that should be anyway.
Yeah, well, it's always been like that, and Nigerians have complained. At some point, the National Assembly complained, but they always find a creative way around it. They will only announce to you the Minister of State for Petroleum is. They won't tell you the Minister of Petroleum is. So it's a very creative way.
So that means there is really something there, because if not, that office should be separated. I don't see any reason why that office cannot be separated so that it can run independently.
But unfortunately, there's always a power center in Nigeria. What happens is, even if you make somebody the Minister of Petroleum Resources, he knows that there are certain decisions he cannot take
by
without first going to consult. These things happen. So I've always said it's not a matter of the nomenclature. It's a matter of the decisions you can take.
Right. So I would like to ask this, you know, I would like us to talk about the effects of this pricing in fuel, because, you know, NMCC just came out and gave us a fixed price for their petroleum that it's going to be selling for 865 naira or thereabout, or 55 naira.
It said 55.
So this means if the big boys are selling for that price, how much will black market sell? How much will like the younger what do I call them sell for?
The dependent marketers.
The dependent marketers. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Not the major marketers. Now, you know, yesterday or some days back, we had this discussion also on one of our shows. And I said, since last week when I had the Minister of State for Petroleum, that's Senator Enikem Lokobiri, speak about this so-called under-recovery by NNPC. And then NNPC itself came out to say it's actually owing, though it didn't give us a figure. But we knew that figure since July. It was $6 billion. $6 billion. And said that it can't, because of that, get advance in terms of product and then repay later. They stopped giving us products. That I knew it was coming, and I said, see, if indeed, like they've told us, petrol is coming into this country, landing at about 1,000 naira, 1,002, then we shouldn't expect anything less than between 1,000 and 1,003. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The way it is going, NNPC is still going to do this on that recovery thing. Because you can't buy at that point for, say, 1,000.
I'm selling for
less than
855.
How?
So the effect also is that the government will have to bring out more money to subsidize. That's one. Two, for me, is on the cost of running our businesses. How do we do it? already the government is talking about higher institutions and federal health facilities. That is all those hospitals that are attached to universities and then the general hospitals. About giving 50% subsidy to them. So that's another level of subsidy, which the government can't absorb. There is a solution to that anyway, which we can talk about some other time. But for me, it's worrisome that we are still going back to the same hole from which we are trying to dig ourselves out. Because it's a huge hole. How do we do it? How will businesses survive? I've been worried as an employer in the last 2 weeks that how are people surviving? We still had that discussion this morning in the office, asking the same question. So I'm now wondering how others are going to react. The people who have 100, 200 staff to cope with. So it means at some point we must go back and rethink. Even if it's going to be on an ad hoc basis, you must find a way of reaching out to your staff. I wonder how artisans will cope. One of the things I wanted to do before coming to the office this morning was to talk by a vulcanizer and ask, how much do you
Pump now.
pump the tires? Because as at July, the last time I went to check the volume of air in my tires, for a mini Jeep, which you call a crossbreed, it was 500 naira to just check and put air. So it means the small tires will now be going for about 500 and those ones will be at about 800, 1,000. So how do we cope? And the thing I say to people a lot of times when they go around telling commercial bus drivers, if people are wicked, like just putting prices and all of that. A lot of people forget that it's not only petrol that vehicles use. It goes to a vulcanizer, and the vulcanizer takes 500 off you. That's huge.
Mechanic as well.
And then you
Engine
have
oil, all these, you know.
engine
different
oil.
things.
What's the last time I did servicing? What we used to buy 5,000-6,000 naira is now 40,000. In fact, it was 46,000 for a keg of engine. So it's for me, and I wonder how women,
Well, my next question was going to be directed to her.
how they are now going to,
Because already it is difficult, you know, in the market. You go to the market, even when you go to the market and you buy foodstuffs, the sellers are even telling you that you better buy today because we may come tomorrow, and it's not, you don't get it at the same price. Imagine wanting to cook a pot of soup. If you want to cook a pot, the minimal pot of soup you can cook now in Nigeria is like 10,000.
Minimal.
Yes, because if you buy pepper, how much do you want to buy pepper? Everything is just up. How much do you want to buy? How much do you want to buy the pepper? Because even the molars who sell pepper or anybody who sells pepper, the least amount you can get pepper now is 500 naira, and they will count the pieces for you, you know, and then it goes up there. There's 2,000, there's 5,000. So how much do you want to buy? And then it also depends on how many people are in your family. Then you want to put the protein. Is it meat you want to call? You want to, or is it chicken that is selling for 5,000 per kilo? Even the fish, you know, 3,000, 4,000. Nothing is just, it's just so difficult. To buy a tuber of yam, the other day I bought tuber of yam for 6,000. Why?
It was not.
Why?
some 10,000.
Yes, depending on the
tuber of
size.
yam,
So I
10,000.
wonder, you know, sometimes I just sit back and I'm like, how is the common man surviving?
How did we get this bad?
How? Because even the food stuff that we used to say, oh, common man food cheap, like Gary. What?
No, please, that's
Gary-
disrespect. I'll speak for my people. You
Gary
get disrespected.
is not.
It's cassava flakes
It's,
now.
it's not cassava flakes.
Yes,
So
don't-
it
don't
is so that the flakes price, you know, everything is expensive. It is difficult. I don't know how people are living. beans too that used to be cheap is not cheap anymore. Loaf of bread.
Have you seen ogbono? Have you seen the cup of ogbono?
It's really difficult. And you now have some families that they are 5, 6, 7. How do they cope? And then you're supposed to eat in the morning 3 square meals. How do you do that?
Do we still eat 3 square meals?
Exactly. I've even told people now that
is there anything square about those?
Exactly. That who even invented 3 square meals? There's nothing like 3 square meals. As long as you have eaten and you're okay, you can drink water and go to sleep.
You don't need to be okay. You just need to eat.
You now eat to survive.
We eat to survive, exactly.
To last the
we eat to survive now.
That's what we do now.
It's really difficult. Is it meat? Is it? And then it's not just food. Food is on one side because it affects everything. Imagine putting fuel for your generator. For those of us that are not in band A.
People are not bandits.
We are not bandits, you know. When the power goes off and then you need electricity and you need to put on your gen, you have to start thinking of fuel. Just this morning, like I said, fuel is 1,000 per liter. So how much do you want to buy? Before that, you can just say, okay, let me just buy 10 liters. Buy 10 liters. 10 liters is what now? Where will it? Yes, but the quantity, that's what I mean. How much do you want to put in your...
Bachelors are better off now.
Ha.
Speaking as a family person.
Exactly. Bachelors.
No. If that's where you're going, you say no.
Let people say, okay, bachelors are... It's not easy for anybody, but you know, even as a bachelor, you are thinking of only yourself. So you can decide that
I'm a bachelor. That's
you can decide that I want to drink.
What about the incoming? Or the incomings?
Exactly. I want to do this, but as a family person, how do I want to do it?
I mean, as long as you're a family person,
have children, you have people stay with you, and then for someone like me, I have pets. I have animals living with me. Is it when the people have not eaten? Exactly, my animals have to eat, but they do have to eat. So it's interestingly, you know, it's so bad now that there are no leftovers. You know, dogs eat leftovers, and then you know you go to the cold room, and then people buy their fish, chicken per kilo. These days, they even tell me in the cold room that people are not even dropping their fish head anymore. They're not dropping their fish. They are buying the whole thing because the country is difficult. If it's the head of the fish that you can eat, better eat it. So what is left for my dogs to eat? It's a lot. And now it has increased. The fuel price has now increased. So you can imagine that it's going to become even more difficult.
Sector.
And in Nigeria, what goes up does not come down.
Really sad.
Yes, it does not come down. And then you cannot imagine that effect on transportation as well. The other day, was it not just yesterday or day before, you know, in the evening, after I close of work, I saw a lot of people and I'm wondering, okay, what are these people doing here? You know, no transportation. And some people were even walking. Some people already even have the money allotted for the month for transportation. And now with this hike, how do they survive? Yes, how do they survive? It's a lot.
I kind of have a lot to say about this whole thing. Let me just start with tomatoes first. So if you just give me the audience, because I cook in my house. Like she said, bachelors, it's not easy for us. So it's not, and we have people at home calling us. So don't think because we are not, you know, entangled.
You're responsible yet.
Yes, we don't have responsibility. You know, so tomato now is gold. After you see gold, the next thing you see is tomato. That you know, they count tomato for you.
They will count it too.
And you know, the go-to food we normally have, you cannot see bread 300 naira again. No. A loaf of bread is 1.5. Family size is like 1.9 or 2,000 naira. Bread was like, if there's nothing in the house, you just run to it. But now it's a major meal. You know, I told you guys on one of my shoots recently that cassava flakes, please nobody should call Gary in my presence again. Fights go happen. It has joined the 6 classes of food. If you mention anything, I don't mention cassava flakes, there's problem. And then noodles was like 1.5 for a pack.
Don't even go there.
Now noodles is crossing 10,000 naira.
Yeah,
so where do we go from here? I'm asking everybody because I'm very confused. And I'm still single. I'm a bachelor, of course. So if my mom and dad is in the house are complaining, which angle should I go from? And you know, it just takes me back to the time of Jonathan when he mentioned something about subsidy. When he removed subsidy and everybody came out, and people like Professor Wole Soyinka, they came out, they created a committee to fight against this man's government, and they wanted, how do I say this? They said they wanted a better Nigeria because he raised the price of fuel from 65 naira to 140 naira. So now,
Imagine.
then let's say we could afford it. Can you afford fuel now in your area? Can you? You know, it all boils down. I can give you like prices of things then and now, like the price of, should I say, bag of rice then. So it was ranging around 15,000 thereabout. Now, what is the price of bag of rice in your area? You know, prices of these things have escalated to a point that, like I said before, we're buying a pack of noodles for 1.5 then. Now you can't comfortably buy a pack of noodles. Now we don't even use tomatoes to cook again. You know, everybody's improvising by the day. I saw
sachet tomato.
Exactly. I saw a lady using
sachet pepper self.
Watermelon
pepper and onion mix
as tomatoes. I saw on social media. I saw a lady using watermelon as tomatoes in place of it because they look alike. You know, people don't even use protein again. No, people don't use it again. As long as you can eat, that's fine. And it's really sad. You know, do you have anything?
But
they
you
create
know
of egg.
that what we are even talking about now is the scenario in Lagos.
Right.
Not outside. Because even when we had the old pricing for fuel, while NNPC was selling in Lagos for 568, in Ogun State, 580. And as we move up north, it increases to the southeast because things are not just working. In some places, it's 620, 640, 600 in Abuja.
Even in Lagos here, in some places it's 700.
No, we're even talking of the official.
Official, okay.
Let's leave it at even the official at that time. Because at the time we're even talking of the official, in Lagos, some people are already selling for 850 now.
Yes.
In Lagos. So now imagine what those people in the north, in the southeast, south will be going through.
Yeah.
So it's really a lot. And I completely agree with you that nobody is left out. Even the small boy, the 3-4 year old is feeling the pinch, even without being able to talk. Because in the past, you can just go and see your brother's children and pack a lot of biscuits. Now when you go, it's gold.
Biscuits.
So
even biscuit companies, biscuit that used to be 5 inside is now.
Of course, they've reduced it now.
They've reduced everything.
What they were doing before was reducing quantity to retain price. Now we have reached the situation where you can't reduce quantity further, but you have to raise price.
But you have to raise price.
And sometimes the quality reduces too.
Of course, the quality will go down now.
Has reduced.
It will go down now. There is nothing you can do about that. That's the first thing that suffers. Quality.
So I would like us to talk about healthcare as well, because I know there's no sector this pricing will not affect. Because before now, we find it a lot of people find it very hard to go to the hospital because they cannot afford it. Moving forward, do you think people will be able to even go to the hospital to have babies?
As it is already, a lot of, let me not say a lot, some people do have their babies at home, especially with things being difficult now. People have babies at home, but it's even going to get even more difficult. And you know, let's even leave babies. For the normal, okay, malaria, this and that, people don't go to hospitals anymore. They just go to a chemist. You know, there's something they call Adakpo, as Yoruba. Just join everything together. They just put everything, okay, Panadol, antibiotic, they just put everything together because people cannot afford basic. We don't even have what is it called? Like health insurance, all those things. We don't even have it, and it's supposed to be the least thing from government. Everyone should have it so that at least healthcare is assured, but we don't even have that. So you are supposed to fend for yourself. And is it the person that has not eaten properly that will be going to hospital?
They'll run to herbs now.
Yes, and that help, and the help is risky. It's not safe. It's not safe.
When you go to see your doctor in those days, they open the cash for you. And tell you it's 100 naira. Well, there is no hospital you are going to get to now. Before it's 5,000.
It's 5,000 for card
minimum.
It's very sad.
It's a long battle.
And you know, the funny thing is the hardship of Nigeria has made a lot of our doctors and nurses to flee the country, leaving us with some available. I wouldn't say the non-small was, but you know, leaving us with what's available. And Mama, you're laughing. It's true. Because for those that cannot flee, they have to stay, and we have to deal with what we have available. You know. So, with that being said, I don't know how we can work on this particular sector being the healthcare, because without healthcare, the country is in shambles.
Well, for me, government has lost control in that sector. Not because it really wanted to, but because the economy has pushed us to a situation where not just pharmaceutical companies, even others are living. I remember the time, once I need tires, I drive to Obakran, you have Dunlop there. Once you drive in, if you buy one, there is a rate. When you buy two, it comes down a bit more. They keep giving you discounts the more you buy. So I go there, I buy 4. And I can't recollect how much now. But I can tell you that the cost of the 4 I buy in those days, for one now, it's almost going to be like I'm paying times 10 of that 4. Because, and the pharmaceutical companies are living. The cost of production is too high.
Yes.
Virtually every industrial area is now on band A. I don't know. I've told my family, where we are now, we must move out. Because we're on band A.
Hey.
And from my calculation in the last 1 month, there is no way we are going to be able to have lights consistently if you don't have 250,000 naira in a month.
Hey.
Wow.
And
Just
that is a residence. It's not like a business
and
place.
I can't call them to come and remove me from band A. And I will not go and switch off power completely. So I imagine what companies are now going through. And then we are not even doing the basic things that we need to do. How do we bring them back? The pharmaceutical companies, not that are here, really. I hail them. I really hail them.
I'm sure they are not planning to leave as well. As you're planning to leave your house,
I'm going to run away from that.
But we do have some that are Nigerian, pharmaceutical companies. So,
but what, are they able to produce as much as they should? Are they able to meet? It's a big deal.
And it will be pricey.
Yeah.
It will be very,
It will
very
be,
pricey.
because the other day, my doctor, we've had him on one of the programs here, told me that syringe, the needle for giving injection, which they used to get for 5-10 naira, is now, was then, as at the time he was talking to me, about 200 naira. So I can imagine how much it will be now. Operations that they would normally do, say for like 30,000-50,000 naira, as at 2 years ago, they were doing for about 500,000, 700,000.
Can you imagine? So how does the common man want to work? How now?
Which means what the option, malaria that we used to treat for 1,000, 2,000 naira, as at a month or 2 ago, they charge between 30 and 40,000 naira.
For malaria.
For malaria and maybe a little bit of time. So if one has any emergency, then it means. And then the warnings, the signs are just there that one is not sure, hopeful. Again, I can imagine how workers would have been happy 3 weeks ago when they were told they are going to now get minimum of 70,000. And you recollect that when we had the debate, and I've also said it on Television Continental, on Journalist Hangouts, that program hosted by Babajide Kolade Otutoju, a very versatile journalist, that the minimum wage I will stay with 200,000. Because it's just, for me, even too small, the way the economy is now. So I imagine those who are getting 30,000, 40,000.
Imagine, and then they have families. All those people, they have families.
They have responsibility.
They have their own immediate family, and they have extended family that they have to cater for. Wow.
It's crazy. So from what I'm gathering, from what my boss said, is that they provide solution for one problem and give you 5 other problems to deal with that solution. Because yes, if the fuel price now has gone crazy, how do you feel as a 30,000 naira earner? How do you transport yourself from your location to your place of work?
There's going to be a lot of work.
Then you have some housings to, like, some responsibilities in the house to do.
Apart from that, it will also affect accommodation. I hope you know, because everything affects everything. You keep asking, because even the things that do not, when you ask for things that are very unrelated, you go to the market, buy things that are very unrelated. You like, okay, what can I say? The other day, I was asking some months ago, you know, when the price of eggs, a crate of egg rose up, like, okay, and they were like, it's fuel, everything is fuel. Okay, how does fuel affect the chicken? The chicken is laying the egg, so what's the concern fuel, you know? But then everything, because the running, yes, and also the running of the poultry.
Yes, all these things are intertwined. The poultry, you must keep those birds warm, especially during cold season, the rainy season. So it means you must run your generator. It also means if you are unfortunate to fall under band A, you must be ready to pay through your nose. That's the meaning. So all of these things are intertwined.
Yes.
And I've argued with people who have said they do not see a reason why a landlord should increase cost. And I say, I will tell you why. Some landlords are completely dependent on money from rent. So you are crying as a worker that you want an increase. You get it. People in the market, they add more money to what, and then you are saying the same landlord who goes to the same market with you should not agitate for more money. It will not, it's just virtually impossible. For me, if you ask me, what's the solution? We've always had it at our fingertips. A country that is not producing, as a country that is not productive, let's interuse that language. Productive and producing. A country that is not productive by producing, by manufacturing, will always be a beggarly nation. You can't do anything about it. And we have very low hanging fruits from where we can start. Very low. Our refineries, 4 of them.
Actually 4, because I thought they were 3.
No, 4 of them. There are 2. There are 3, sorry. Down south, 1 in Kaduna. So, if we produce that, if we become productive in that area, 1, it will reduce our dependence on importation. In fact, completely eradicate it. Meaning that we have taken care of one factor that is draining our dollar base. We can use that to grow our foreign reserve, which can bring us respectability. Because you cannot come and talk to me at the same level when I'm richer than you. If we are not friends and we are nations, I'll be looking down on you because you can't open your mouth where I am. If our refineries become functional, Jet A1, which is the fuel for aircraft, will come down. That is the reason why we want to go to Abuja now. You are paying about 100,000, 200,000 to fly.
405.
Kerosene will be taken care of. Diesel is part of those things that come from generating petrol and crude, from crude. You have a lot, black oil, that industries use. We can use that opportunity to revive all our textile industries. There is nothing we are wearing in this country now that we are producing here in terms of clothing. And that's a lot for us in terms of foreign exchange. Those are the things putting pressure on the country in terms of generating funds from us. We are not exporting anything. We are completely dependent on outsiders. Those are low-hanging fruits that we can quickly work on. We can, yes, I give it to the government. The last regime and this one, they are doing so much on roads. We need to do more. There was a time if my memory doesn't fail me, that Coca-Cola had a huge farm in Niger State. Once you leave Kwara, you enter into Niger, and then you start as if you want to go on the road to Bida. To your right and to your left, expansive. But they had to abandon it, kidnapping, bad road. In those days, when we used to drive to Abuja, the first choice that comes to your head is to go through Kwara. Now there is nothing you can do than to go through Ondo State and all the rest. Those are new routes. Now you can't even try going through Niger State, except of course you are forced to, because you are going completely to the northwest, meaning that you want to get to Kotangura and then go on the way to Zamfara and Sokoto. That's the only reason that and then if you are a trailer that wants to cut cost. We have all these roads working before, which was saying we need to go back and these things are easy to deal with. Very easy to deal with, but we must start producing. Ajaokuta must become functional. The day I got on an Emirates flight and I was looking at the plane in which I was flying, how they put it together, I felt very ashamed of myself. That plane and so many others in the fleet of Emirates, they were assembled in South Africa. And South Africa provided all the cables, wires that they used there, the ions for all the seats. It was just mainly the engine that came from outside to their own country. And they put it all together. So we have a situation where South Africa is doing all of those. South Africa assembles BMW. It does Peugeot. It does other products. What are we doing here? We used to have Peugeot working perfectly in Kaduna.
Yeah.
In those days,
yes,
I remember that most of us don't even think of flying. Somebody like me. When I'm coming from far north, I ensure that I go and put myself in Kaduna by evening time. Because you will get brand new Peugeots being driven to Lagos, about 200-300, leaving the factory. Those are the ones who will do what people will refer to as solid. And we are inside. Before you know it, you are in Lagos. These are things that have been happening that which we can return to. We have to fight insecurity also.
That's a big one.
It's a big one. I tell people, when I was trying to chase one girl, who I always tell them is claiming now to have been my wife for 20-something years. I don't leave Lagos to go to Ilorin until about 9-10 p.m.
Yes, night calling.
When I worked in Abuja for the Punch, I leave Abuja when I'm coming to Lagos strategically at about 4 a.m. So that by the time I'm getting to certain areas, I'm able to buy yam. But then at that point, when I buy my yam in Abuja, in some of those markets around Abuja. When I leave at about 4 a.m., by 10 I'm in Lagos because the roads were good. When I'm returning to Abuja, I leave at about 5 a.m. By 11, I'm in Abuja. You can't try it now. So it's just are things that we can quickly do. I know it's difficult fighting banditry, fighting terrorism, but we still have to make efforts. Otherwise, this mono product that we're even unable to produce, which is crude, will not help us. We should go beyond all of these things and set our country on the path of growth.
That's a very good one, sir. That's a very good one, sir. I have this, maybe let me just call it the last question, because I feel like our federal government or the government in general splashes a lot of money on things that are not useful, in the sense that I'll explain that better. Since we're talking about crude oil, petroleum, let me start by saying that we have 3 refineries here, and every year they allocate money for maintenance of these refineries.
that I have not produced
They are not working.
1 liter of petroleum. See,
That is not one area I usually like to talk about because my position is very hard on it. The first thing we should have done, if in 8-10 years we have workers in all those places who are not producing anything, we should have sacked them.
Okay.
Right. We should have sacked them. Just some weeks back, months, we had a report that showed that 1.36 trillion naira was paid as salary in about 1 year to them. Non-productive people.
Yes. Oh,
but like I've always said, our labor unions are very difficult to deal with. They are irrational people who occupy those positions. Why will you encourage that those workers should remain when they are not productive? But the argument you are going to put up is, yes, it's government that employed them, it's government that has not fixed the refinery. The times that we have fixed those refineries, what happened to them? We have engineers of all shades in those refineries. Why were they not able to maintain them? Let's even limit it to only Kaduna, that we can remember vividly that Total from France has done 2 turnaround maintenance that we can recollect of recent. What happened to it? Why is it always going bad? What are those engineers doing there? And then we keep these people in job. We keep them in employment. It's a shame.
it is indeed.
Do you have anything to say to that?
No, you have said it all.
Well,
I'm overwhelmed.
it's a big shame that we had to go through all this, and but at this point, we would like to bring all of that to a close because of time, and our able daddy has somewhere to be, so we have to let him go. And trust that we'll come back with more news, more information about the ongoings in your country, my country, our country, Nigeria. Until next time, do leave us a like, because that people are not giving me that like, and it's paying me, and it vex. Follow us on all social media platforms at Igbo Online. We're here to give you entertainment, give you news, and of course, he's called the Nose for a reason, because he gives you facts and news. And your pleasure coach, of course. I don't know why she doesn't like being called that, but that's who she is. And then I remain your humble host, Dennis Oyema. Until next time, goodbye.
See ya.